This time I have another TASCAM Da30mk2. This is a professional DAT recorder that was shipped up for repair. This one here apparently doesn't load a tape, but there's more wrong with it than just that. There's actually 3 things wrong with this one, and we're going to solve them all. So a couple of quite common faults on this actually, and one oops by the owner. Anyway, let's get cracking on this one. Okay, I've got a TASCAM Da30mk2, and this one looks like it's been beat up a bit. Must have been in a rack somewhere. Apparently, this one here responds up and down positioning, loads of tape, and forward backward is malfunctioning. What? Forward backward movement is malfunctioning. Is he talking about the front loading mechanism or this? We'll pull it apart and see. We'll rip this one open. He left some screws out of it for me. Got my AC running in here right now for the next couple minutes, just to try to cool the place down a bit before the power goes up in price. Because I'm on my time of day billing now for my power. So have to do all the heating and cooling in the shop prior to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll be doing a video talking about that, my switch to time of day billing and how much it's going to save me, and the savings are going to be substantial. Okay, so it's not opening. This is not opening. That's the problem. So, motor not getting power by chance? No. No! No way! Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable. A plug was missed. Yeah, that's a really expensive lesson. Well, I guess I can test it. Make sure that it works. I mean, maybe there's something else wrong with it. Oh, it's not loading the tape. Okay. Well, I wonder if there's any other plugs that have been left undone. Well, I guess I have to check more. Okay, well, then the fellow that sent me this won't feel so bad. I guess I actually do have to dig into this thing and figure out what the problem is. Well, it's 4 o'clock, so I guess it's time to turn this thing off. Now we'll figure out why this isn't threading. Well, it actually did thread a tape, and it ran it all the way to the end, and then that was the end of it. This tape has no lid on it. So it did thread momentarily, but it's not now. And I had an error 1 showing on the screen. The cassette in light is kind of blinking, if you look at the front here. Well, now it's not, but the cassette in light was kind of blinking there. But none of the buttons work, other than that one. First things first, I'll remove the transport. Good old afterthought. That spring. I'm just wondering if I'm going to find anything else down here that might be left unplugged. I don't see anything here. Get switches that go bad on these ones. there's a switch on either end of this cam gear that activates when it closes down the tape compartment, and those switches have a tendency to get noisy or go bad, and then things don't work. So that's what I'm just kind of investigating that to see whether that's where the issue might be. Of course, these ones do have the regulator faults on them. Okay, powered it off and powered it back on, and it threaded up. Is it going to go into play? I don't hear any sound. I see activity on the VU meter, but I don't hear any sound from the analog outputs. I wonder if this has got a regulator problem. I know that some of these have had regulator fails. They're down under here because it's playing the tape. You can see there's activity on the meters. There's no sound whatsoever from analog. So we need to check the voltages down on the analog board. Down here, there's a 5 volt. I think it's a 5. It's either a 5 or 9. I think it's a positive 5 and a negative 5. But I can throw this transport back in place here for now, just because, well, that part's working. So there is signal showing up on the meters, but there's no audio output. I bet you if I plugged a coaxial out in, there'd be audio from the tape transport, but there's nothing from the audio outputs. So I got to pull this board to get to the board that's below, because that's where the regulators hide. Actually, there's a couple of them up here too. So we'll check some voltages. So to get to the analog board, I got to remove the digital board here. On top, I've already taken out of the screws that hold the XLR connectors in and so forth. Just remove a few more screws and this board will lift out of the way, and then I can get in there with the meter and see if I've got a missing voltage. And I'm betting that we're probably going to have a missing voltage or two. Well, one anyway. These all use op amps, so they require a positive and a negative supply, and if you lose one of them, they're not going to work. So the board, or the regulators I'm talking about, are right down here on these units. So I'm just going to get something to insulate here so that this doesn't short out when I power it up. Put a piece of cardboard or something in here to protect this. For that matter, we can see if something heats up when I turn on the power. Now these are the heat sinks down here, so they're already warm. Warmer than everything else, but we'll see if anything starts to heat up when I turn on the power. I guess that really doesn't help because it's already been running for a few minutes, so it's already going to be hot. Well, let's just put our meter here and check some voltages and see what we've got. Put this on DC voltage rather than auto, just because it's a little faster. Okay, what do we got here? We've got input. 17 volts there, and we got we got 0. Okay, and this one here we got 0, and we got 1. I take it that's the first regulator. That's a 12 volter, I think, and this is a 5. This takes the 17 volts, which we've got, going in. Oh yeah, nothing coming out, 0. And this one's got 0 going in. This is the positive regulator. This one will be the negative regulator over here. I'm sure it's probably fine. Can we check? Yeah, we got -5. Right there, -5. This one should be +5. It's got 1 volt. This 12 volt regulator is shot. This one's probably okay, but this one for sure is toast. And the other one over here, I'll have power over here. If I get down here, we can probably check this one. 12, -12, right? You saw that, -12. So -12, -5, +12, +5. You see? So I don't know if I got a 12 volt regulator or not. Well, what do you know? I do have a 7812. Excellent. Time to pull the other board and swap it out. For you guys that just must know, because I get asked every time, it's a Must Tool MT13S multimeter with an IR camera. No, I have not replaced my fluke. My fluke is right here. My fluke is right there. In fact, my other fluke is just next to me as well. There's my new fluke. I've never even used this thing, but I have it. I bought this on Facebook for 20 bucks from a guy that didn't know what it was worth. I think this meter is worth about 500 bucks. But I picked it up I paid $12 for this one at a ham flea market, you know, probably 25 years ago. I got this for 20 bucks off of Facebook from a guy that was just selling it. It was his dad's. His dad had bought the thing, and I don't think he even used it, because look at this, the plastic is still on the display. It's never been removed. I don't think this thing's ever been used. But the guy that sold it to me, his dad bought it, and apparently only used it once or twice, and then unfortunately his dad had a stroke and passed away and never got to use it, so he was selling off his test scope. He had other stuff too. He had a scope and so forth, but he wasn't giving the scope away. He was asking more than I was willing to pay for a scope, because I've got 3 scopes here. I got the Tektronix 2465B, which I got donated to the channel. I've got the Unity UTD 2102 digital piece of junk that I paid way too much for that. I've got a pocket scope somewhere, and which I don't use, and I've got an old HP vacuum tube scope from 1960. I think it's 1962. HP 101, I think it is. Anyway, you guys have seen it before. It's shown on the opening for my logo. It's the one I got the time displaying on. Well, that one's actually below my bench. It's not being used, but it does work. Of course, the question is, why am I using this little $200, I think that's what this is, about $200 or $225 meter? Well, because it works. It's accurate, it's fast, it's got the infrared camera, which kind of can come in handy, and it just gets the job done. I tell you one place where it does have the fluke beat, and it has the fluke beat by a mile in this particular department, and that is the battery. It has a rechargeable battery, which is nice. I've only charged it once when I first got it. The downside to the Fluke 12, which is my go-to meter that I've had for years, and I don't know about the other one because I again haven't used it yet, but the downside to my Fluke 12 is, yes, it has a low battery indicator that comes on when the battery is weak, but the problem is the accuracy starts to drop before that low battery indicator comes on. Like when that low battery indicator comes on, you're not reading accurate readouts. It's actually been inaccurate for a while before the low battery indicator comes on. And that's the thing that it's always kind of irked me on the Fluke, is that the second you see that low battery indicator comes on, you pretty much have to change the battery. But in the days, or even maybe weeks, leading up to the point where the actual indicator lights up, the accuracy has been declining on measuring certain things. There's a little icon that comes up there. If I turn it off and turn it on, you'll see it. The battery indicator up there. If that's on, it's not accurate. But the thing is, as I found out just from trial and error, it's not accurate for a couple days before that indicator comes on. So by the time the indicator comes on, you may have been measuring voltages and trusting the readings, and the readings were wrong. Now, I'm not saying that the other one is any different, but at least it has an indicator that tells you approximately what percentage of charge is in the battery, and when it starts to get a little bit low, it's time to plug it in and charge it up. There's a bracket here they got to take out. The 12 volt one was this one right down here. Let's get this regulator out. And as you see, this is the input, ground, and the output here goes over and powers up the 5 volt regulator. Some heat sink compound. The problem with these stupid LED lights is there's so much glare. It drives me crazy. I hate LEDs. I really hate LED headlights on cars, because people put them on their car and they don't set them up and they blind everybody else coming the other way. Like when we all used those toxic fluorescent lights with mercury in them, the lighting in the shop was so much better. Right now I've got so much bloody glare from LEDs. All the lights in here, I still got some fluorescent lights, but most of the lights in here are LEDs now, and I find that they have a lot more glare than the fluorescent lights that I used to use. So there's the new part in. Yeah, we're good. There's no shorts between those. All right, throw the board back in, and it should be good. Okay, I can test it now before I even plug anything else in or put any other screws in. I can just plug this in, and we should get sound. Yeah, we get sound. Okay, so problem fixed. Time to throw it together and then make sure everything still works once I get it back together. Alright, we're ready for testing. Oops. counter mode, absolute time, program time, remaining time, and tape counter. Okay, I guess it's fairly safe to say that this one is fixed. Rewind my tape. Okay. I guess it's not fixed. That's more than that, because when that light is not on, it says there's no tape in it. And then when the light comes on, then I can actually do something. That's weird. Okay, so I guess we got another problem. Because when that light goes out, it doesn't think there's a tape in it, and it just says tape on the screen, like you need to install a tape. I wonder if it's one of these switches in here that's acting up. But it's still got trouble. When that light's out, when that light is out, the play button doesn't work. And then the light will come back on and it will work. Could be one of the switches underneath the cassette to indicate that there's a tape in it. That's another possibility. Little pin switches underneath the tape. I bet it's one of those. Actually, I bet you that's what it is. It's one of those ones. Just open this up and see if I can see them without having to open the whole thing up. I bet it's one of these little switches back here. I bet I can pretty much guarantee that's what it's going to be. I'm not even going to bother taking this out. I'm going to give those switches a shot of cleaner. It's going to be one of these little buggers down here. Probably this first one. That's the one that turns the light on. So let's just get in there with the neutral. That's right down here. Can you see it? There's 3 switches. It's going to be this one. One of them is to tell it what type of tape it is. So one of them is the one in the middle is the record lockout. The one over here is whether it's a thin tape or a thick tape. Same with the ones over here. These ones over on this side, if there's any on this, I don't know if there is any on this one. Yeah, there are. There's 2 more. But these detection switches, there's little holes here, whether they're punched or not, and they tell the machine whether it's a thin tape, what length the tape is, whether it's a metal particle or a metal evaporated tape, but usually it's the thickness of the tape is what they are, to tell the machine what length the tape is expected. And then there's this one over here, which there isn't one there because that's the one that gets pushed down all the time when there's a tape inserted. That's the one that tells the machine that you've got a tape in it, and it's this one right there. But I'll give all of them a shot. On some of these TASCAM machines, that's how you can reset the number of hours. Someone was telling me about it. You punched one of these tabs. I think it was the one in the middle, and you ran the tape to the end. You punched the tab on the tape, and then you ran the tape to the end, and then held down some buttons, and it would reset the counter. The hours counter. Alright, let's try it again. tape is in. Good. It's not going out now. When I tapped on it, it would go out. There we go. There's a switch. The switch on the back, if it's bad, it won't load, right? It won't complete the loading cycle and load the tape. Okay, this one's working. Everything's working on this one. Search is working. Playback's working. I'm sure record works too. Alright, this one's all done and back together. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.